Our blend game for this week, which appropriately enough for the episode where we finally got Christopher Nolan to join the ReelBlend podcast, we are going to play hashtag Christopher Nolan blend. And I'll go first and drop a bomb. Now, this is favorite, not best.
Favorite.
Absolute favorite. My answer can only be Batman Begins, which I think is his best Batman film.
Oh, really? That's not what I thought you were going to say.
Yeah, well, I think it's his best Batman film. And I think it's one of the best superhero films I've ever seen in my entire life. You hear the terms thrown around far too often now, and you forget that they exist because of Nolan. It was grounded and it was realistic. It made me believe that this guy could become Batman. It showed you every step of the way how he isolated himself and trained, came back to the city and used his enormous wealth to put together. It just walked you through every step, and every step was credible. How he would have access to a tumbler. And even like the tumbler, they had lines with Morgan. It's one of the best scripts ever. Like where Morgan Freeman's just like, oh yeah, that's an experimental military grade vehicle. And you're like, oh, I guess that makes sense. And he goes, when he comes around to ask about spelunking, like these are things that a billionaire could say to his weapons developer, and all of it fit. But what I love about Batman Begins also is that it doesn't rely on the easy villains. It uses Ra's al Ghul and Scarecrow, and you would automatically, even the way that the Robert Pattinson one is going to bring in right off the bat, you got Penguin, Catwoman, and the Riddler. Like Batman is one of the most famous rogues gallery, and Nolan was essentially like, I don't need him. Just give me Liam Neeson and Cillian Murphy, and I'll make it work. But I also hold on to Batman Begins because I'll stand by the fact that the reveal at the end of that movie, and I think Jake disagrees with me, doesn't necessarily set up a sequel. It just could have been the most satisfying ending to a movie that simply says, here's the launch pad for a crime fighter in Gotham. Naturally, he's going to have a Joker eventually down the line, but in much the same way that with Joaquin Phoenix's character, okay, so we saw Bruce Wayne's parents get killed. Eventually those two are going to cross paths. We don't need to see it, but of course it was so successful and made so much money and was so critically acclaimed that they convinced Nolan to come back. Now, I will almost stand by the fact that I don't know if Nolan ever wanted to do more Batman movies. Yes, he did a great job with The Dark Knight.
I don't think after Dark Knight he wanted to do the third one.
Oh, absolutely not. No. He definitely did not.
You can see it in the movie.
I like Dark Knight Rises, dude.
No, you don't.
So
I'm just kidding.
If you lay out Nolan's entire filmography on DVD Blu-ray, and you said to me, pick one to sit down and watch right now, I'm picking Batman Begins every single time because I think it is just an airtight package. I think Oldman is phenomenal as Commissioner Gordon, eventually becoming Commissioner Gordon, and I think Bale is a good Batman and the best Bruce Wayne that we've probably seen on screen. So that's my pick. That's my pick for Christopher Nolan.
I'm gonna branch off of that just because I think I know what Kevin's is, and I'm gonna branch off and say that my favorite is The Dark Knight.
There you go.
And for a lot of the reasons that you say you love Batman Begins because it realistically builds up this character. For me, the reason I love The Dark Knight is because I think it realistically breaks him down. The Dark Knight is not just my favorite superhero movie of all time, but I also think Batman himself is my favorite superhero, and I think it's easy to see your favorite superhero built up and see him win and see him celebrated. But The Dark Knight basically says like what if he loses? Mm-hmm. And not only what if he loses the faith of the people he's trying to save? Mm-hmm. And I think to me, that's a much more interesting and much more complicated story. I think he pulls it off beautifully. The pacing of that, I know we talk about it a lot, how like it doesn't even really feel like it. It feels like Heat, that if Batman had a hand in Heat and he were playing around with it. There's nothing I can say about Ledger that hasn't already been said. Mm-hmm. But very, very similar parallels to why Batman Begins is your favorite. The creation of Batman. I like Dark Knight because it's basically the destruction of Batman.
Mm-hmm. Kev?
I feel like this is just... you guys already know the answer. It's Interstellar.
That's why I jumped in. I hope you don't mind. That's why I jumped in because I feel like mine was an...
Let me ask you one quick question. Do you ever envision could Tenet surpass Interstellar?
It depends. Again, I could watch Tenet on the fifth pass, it could become my favorite. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think the reason Interstellar will always, I believe, have that mark is because it was the first time that I truly emotionally invested in Nolan's characters. And I always, again, love Memento, love Dark Knight, love Batman Begins, love Following. I emotionally invest in those characters, but I never really... There was always a certain coldness that I would leave with, which wasn't necessarily a bad thing. I never felt like the feels when
I think Prestige connected with me, like especially Jackman's character.
Love Prestige. Again, another one that I love, but when Interstellar hit, and I always mention the McConaughey scene and watching his kids grow up over 23 years and under 4 hours of being on Miller's Planet, it's the use of time that creates that immersion, that creates the emotion. It was also a science fiction film made with the heart of Kubrick, in my opinion. And Nolan would say it too, obviously. But no green screen, front projection out the windows of these spaceships that they were, whatever they designed for the film and on the gimbal and everything. But I think it was the perfect intersection of practical effects, old school filmmaking, and just genius storytelling. And the concept of Matthew McConaughey's character at the age he's at to walk in and see his daughter on her deathbed in a much older version of the character. Ellen Burstyn, I believe, plays the older version of Jessica Chastain's character.
And it was such a great reveal because we had been seeing testimonials from her at the beginning of the movie and didn't even realize it was her.
It's that full.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was brilliant.
That's all the testimonials are.
But I'm saying, was it a great reveal?
Oh, it was a brilliant reveal.
Who hurt you?
Yeah, I don't understand what's going on there. But
Anne Hathaway.
Yeah, but Interstellar.
Hey, that's my wife you're talking about.
I know Interstellar was the obvious choice for me to go with because it's the one I talk about the most. But Dunkirk is actually the one that I put on the most in my house, if that makes sense. Because Dunkirk's a 90-minute lean watch, right? It's not that long. It's a little over 90 minutes, I believe, but that's the one I put on just to look at the visuals. Like I'll be upstairs, like taking, cleaning the dishes or whatever, or like hanging out with the dogs, and I'll throw on the 4K of Dunkirk because Nolan allows his Blu-rays to have the IMAX transitions. But Interstellar, no question, favorite.
So wait, have you seen the first 10 minutes of Dunkirk or the first half hour of Dunkirk more than the entire thing?
No.
Or will you ever jump to the middle?
I've seen the entirety of Dunkirk.
He tunes in for the Harry Styles part. That's it.
Over 10 to 15 times. But yes, I've watched the beginning a lot more just in passing. Yeah.
Jakey.
Quick question. At this point, Nolan's made, I believe, 11 movies, including Following. Top half or bottom half, where do you put Tenet?
Oh, top half. No question.
Top half?
Oh, it's like number 4 for me?
I think
gave it
bottom
5
half
out
for
of
me.
5.
Bottom half. Oh.
Yeah. It's still my favorite movie of the year, but I'd still say bottom half.
Oh, I think here's what's
Gabe?
All right, we got to get out.
I don't know if I can process that.
Wait, Jake. Dark Knight.
Instinctually, I haven't thought about it like this, but instinctively, I want to say top half.
Yeah.
But I haven't thought about it more than just right now.
Jake, what's a better movie? Dark Knight Rises or Tenet?
I think Tenet's a better movie. I think Dark Knight Rises might be easier to watch, like, casually.
Oh, you're so wrong. That's so wrong. That is a wrong statement. That is a wrong statement.
Hey, one of us has a heart out, and it ain't me.
All right, so Alexander Struntz says for his audience pick, hands down, he has to go with Interstellar for this one. Although, he says, Tenet was very cool last night, especially since I got to talk to Kevin and Lauren about it before and after the movie.
I have a picture with this guy. Wait, I'm going to show it right now. I took a picture with him so I could show you guys. While
you're doing that, I'm going to say, do you have it there?
Yeah, I have it right here.
Nice.
Long story short, Lauren, I know you have to get out, but Lauren and I went to Tenet last night at Tyson's, at AMC and Tyson's, and when we were sitting at TGI Fridays having a drink before the movie, this guy looks at me. And he's wearing a mask. I'm not wearing a mask at this point because I'm sitting down for a drink. And he goes, the first thing he says to me is, "Are you Kevin from ReelBlend?" or something like that. Like it wasn't, "Hey, Kevin from Fox 5 or Kevin from the Junkies." It was Kevin from ReelBlend, and it was a really cool thing to have someone say that out loud. And so this is him right here. So he's the gentleman That's the guy who probably sent in,
Nice.
and that was his
Cool.
friend. So this gentleman didn't listen to the show, but this is the ReelBlend fan.
Hey,
But-
why not?
You're shaming
No,
him
not at all.
publicly.
Not yet,
He,
not yet,
he hadn't listened to the shows, but now he's going to because he
I
knows
haven't
we have
listened to it
Nolan
yet.
this
is what
week.
he
So yeah,
Yes, that's right. He knows that we have Nolan. Okay, Michelle Garrist and Ezra Cubero both say Inception. Kevin Lee says The Dark Knight. And then Casey Proctor and Brandon Pope said The Prestige. We want to
Brandon
thank
Pope.
everybody for participating this week and for celebrating Nolan's filmography. For next week, obviously, in tribute to Chadwick Boseman, we're going to play hashtag Chadwick Boseman Blend. So please let us know your picks via social media. You can use hashtag Chadwick Boseman Blend, and you can email them to us at realblend@cinemablend.com.